We have here the brand new 2024 Pinarello Dogma X, their endurance bike, weighing at 16 pounds, 10 ounces, and in kilos, 7.48 kilos. That's with cages and their integrated guard mount. Stay tuned to after video. We have a free buy sent us on those Bora camping wheels right there. I have for you guys today in my hands the brand new Pinarello Dogma X series bicycle. This is their endurance lineup for the bike that they took their flagship Dogma F model and just took the geometry of an endurance bicycle and made it for the everyday consumer. In today's video, we're going to go over all the differences that are between the Dogma F and the X, talk about how they made this bicycle an endurance model, and then we'll talk about this bicycle and specifically that comes with the brand new Campy Super Record 12-speed wireless system as well. This bicycle, as you guys see right here, is $16,000, and this is a size 55, and as you guys just saw, it weighed in right around 16 pounds. But I will say this, Pinarello hit the nail on the head with this design. This bicycle to me does not look like an endurance bike at all. It looks very sleek, very fast, and that's what people want. When you want to buy an endurance bike, you don't want to be pushed onto something that's just massive head tube, dorky looking. People still want to buy an endurance bike that feels comfortable, but looks also really badass. If you're riding on this bicycle in a group ride and you had the Pinarello Dogma X, I don't think there'd be one person that, unless they know the bicycles like I do, that would probably even question if that's an endurance bike or not. So they're taking a bicycle that usually would be labeled as an endurance bicycle that people kind of get bullied on and say, oh, that's a slow bike. And they took that bicycle now and made it look cool, and it's going to perform just as fast as well. So how did Pinarello make this Dogma X a more endurance bicycle? So starting off with the tire clearance on here, they took it from their 700 by 32C tire clearing tires, and then went to a 700 by 35C for the X model. So now you can fit up to a 700 by 35C tire, which is more than enough. They're not going after these massive tire claims like the Specialized Roubaix or the other bike models out there. They have a 35C tire, which they feel is more than enough. They're not making a gravel bike or do it all. This is a road-specific bike with a very good-looking geometry and a very good-looking design as well. Also on the bicycle, they increased the head tube or the stack size of the bicycle just a little bit more than the Dogma F. I know it might sit there and people might think that the X model is going to be a crazy difference. That's going to be a way bigger endurance bicycle model, and the geometry is going to be way different than the F. It's only slightly different, but that little bit of difference makes a big difference for sure. A little bit taller head tube and also a shorter top tube as well. And you can see there is design differences in this bicycle than the Dogma F. The top tube right here comes to kind of this little high point right here. You have this X model on the back that they say that actually provides stiffness right here because they changed the rear stays completely to make, one, a little bit more of a wider tire clearance on there, but two, see how this kind of has this little bend to it? That's going to add compliancy for while riding on longer rides or whatever you're riding on. But while changing the geometry of the bicycle and adding the X feature that people might find gimmicky, whereas people are saying and riding these bicycles saying that they do feel a difference, that this does feel a little bit more compliant in the back than the counterpart of the Dogma F, the bicycle still holds a lot of the traditional Pinarello values. It still has the Onda front fork, it still has a natural curvature that the bicycle always has majority of the most Ultra Talon handlebar and saddle on there as well, and also it still has the asymmetric design that the Pinarello Dogma F has as well to add that very stiffness to the bicycle. So that way when you're providing power, you're still getting the stiffness on this exact same size from left to right. The carbon fiber is exactly the same as the Dogma F. This is the T1100 series as well. This is their top tier carbon fiber for the Pinarello Dogma X. Now, if this price point is a little bit too much money for you, being that it's $16,000, they are making models all the way down the line from an X3 to X5 to X7 to X9. So that way, if anyone's looking for a little bit more of an endurance lineup, they have those options as well, and they look just as sleek as this model as well. So they are going to start discontinuing the Pinarello Paris and the Pinarello Prince, and now they just basically have a Dogma F, a Dogma X, and then they have an F and X lineup as well for the endurance bicycles. But before we get into the bicycle model, I think Pinarello did a great job with this bicycle design. They really did hit the nail on the head with this redesign of the bicycle. It looks like a race bike, but has endurance geometry features. Me, even being 32 years old, I would love to ride this bicycle. Watching Chris Miller recently, they were talking about the endurance geometries, how they want it. They can slam the stem, be a little bit more comfortable, and it's a geometry that fits people, but just make a race-legging bike with the aero qualities. This is the bike right here. You still have the aero fork, you still have the aero down tube, you still have the aero features all over this bicycle, but just with an endurance geometry that might be a little more comfortable for everyday riders like myself. I really do want to see how this bicycle rides later on down the road. I'm trying to get my hands on one. This is the Pinarello Reps bicycle right now, so he was kind enough to let me do a video on it. But as of right now, all I can give to you guys is just the weights and also just the close-up features of this bicycle. But a gorgeous job. And also the colors for this bicycle and the Durace models are phenomenal. But without further ado, let me go over this front end cockpit of this bicycle right here and talk about all the details on this bicycle with the Super Record 12-speed wireless hanger. So starting off with the handlebar, you get the top tier full carbon fiber one-piece bar and stem by Most, which is their Ultra Talon carbon fiber bar. It's accompanied with the Most handlebar tape, which is nice and smooth, kind of feels like a corky tape as well. You do get an integrated out front garment mount with the price of the bicycle for 16 grand, and you can also add features like a light underneath here as well. The cables are integrated all the way through the handlebar, through the stem, down through the breakaway spacers, into the head tube, and then to the front brake and to the rear brake. With the Campy now, you don't have to worry about any more wires connecting to the gears. The gears are wireless now, so that is a good feature. They do have the brand new redesigned Campy Super Record 12-speed hoods. You have the new flared out front brake lever. You have the up and down for the shifts. I don't know how I feel about this yet. It shifts fine in the stand. It's not hard to figure out. This makes it easier. This makes it harder. It's just something that we're not used to yet, but it shifts pretty affirmative. It feels like a nice actuation when you click it, and I kind of dig not having a thumb on here. Whenever I have the thumb on the Campy shifters, it always reminded me of like the Shimano Clairs or the Shimano Sora. So I am here for this redesign of the Campy, and also for the hoods as well. These hoods feel really comfortable in the hands. Ergonomic. You have a nice hood that you can grab onto right here as well when you're in the drops. So I'm sorry, when you're digging down and pushing for a little bit more speed. It looks very nice. I am here for the redesign of the Campy. It is still very expensive, but we'll see how that plays out. You have the same front Pinarello logo that we know and love. The Honda Pinarello front fork with the titanium grade to the black gloss fade. You kind of have these little arrow waves here for the front brakes. The wheels that come equipped with this bicycle are the Campy Bora WTO and the 45mm deep dish wheel. Full carbon fiber with their tri-spoke pattern going down to their Bora carbon fiber hub. This wheel is very expensive. It just reeks of money. It looks really cool. It has a gloss finish to it. Accompanied with the 160mm Campy rotors right here, which are center locked. And then you even have this kind of like a Super Record front disc brake caliper right here that looks very aero, very clean. I believe the Super Record still uses the Royal Blood, which is like Magura, for the disc braking bleeds. I mean, it might be their own advertised now, but feels like a Magura disc brake when we squeeze the brake on there. You do have a through axle right here in the front, and then for the tires, they come equipped with a Continental Grand Prix 5000 STR and a 700x32C tire. So this is a 700x32C tire on here. Very comfortable, and it's going to be accompanied with the Endurance bicycle. Going down the frame, you can see here, we have the Pinarello Dogma logo right here. And again, this is their T1100 carbon series. We have the X logo right here, and like I mentioned before, the top tube on this bicycle is different than the F because it has this little kind of bump right here. We have the kind of all know and love down tube, the flare to the flat, 2 bottle cages here, 2 bottle cages here with an extra bottle cage right here. You going down here, you have the Pinarello logo right here. For the crank on here, that's a really small crank arm. You have a Super Record crank with the full carbon fiber. I do say that Campy has some of the best looking cranks out there on the market. This is a 48 by 32 chainring size. Campy, the only downside I will say about their new cranks or their new group set is the gearing. It's very weird to me. Even SRAM kind of changed up the gearing after they released it. You need a little bit deeper than just a 50-tooth chainring, so we'll see what happens there. For the bottom bracket, it's a threaded Italian threaded bottom bracket with a Campy BB on there. You have the 12-speed Campy chain accompanied by the brand new bulky front derailleur of the Super Record 12-speed. Again, you're going to look at these mechanisms and say they're very bulky, but they have to do that to work around patents built out by SRAM and also Shimano. So Campy has released their 12-speed wireless, but we're late to the party, so they have to work around the patents where they do have their own separate isolated batteries right here. For the cassette in the rear, it's their own Campy rear cassette, the Super Record. It's a 1029 for the gearing. Again, a little bit of a weird gear, but they did adopt the 10-tooth cog like SRAM did to give you that little bit of a harder cassette on there. And then there's that rear mech, that Super Record Campy rear mech that literally looks like an android or one of those like massive like robots that fight. It's a crazy looking rear mech that does house a battery on there. But yeah, definitely a crazy looking rear mech on there. For the rear wheel, it's going to be a Campy Super Record Bora WTO 45 deep dish wheel again, accompanied by a Grand Prix 5000 STR tire. A better look at this X style seat post. Again, they said that they made these drops on this bicycle first and it was almost too compliant, so then they added the X to the bicycle to go ahead and make it reinforced for stiffness right here and right here on the bicycle. You have the integrated seat post wedge right here, which is a T20 to go ahead and tighten it down to 6 Newton meters, and then a proprietary seat post right here by the Pinarello Dogma X with their own Most saddle, full carbon fiber rails and carbon fiber body. It is extremely windy today. That's why I'm holding onto this bicycle for dear life. In the rear, we have a 140 millimeter rear rotor by Campy with a Most through axle on here. That piece can come off and go to the front to go ahead and change it. And then you can see right here, you have a little bit of a Pinarello logo right there. One more shot at the X. And then their own Pinarello bottom bracket, again, the Italian threaded. But that's gonna do it for this bicycle, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys a fan of these endurance bikes looking like this? Or would you want more capabilities out of endurance bikes? Would you want wider tire clearances? Would you want more gimmicks? Would you want fenders to be able to add to the bikes? All that stuff like that. This bicycle is not mechanical compatible. It's only compatible with electronics because of the bends of the bicycle. Anyways, guys, that's gonna do this for the video. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.